Hello there. It's Jack again, coming to you one more time from the Popcorn Cathedral and welcoming you back to our next to last Indiana Jones video. Possibly some of you will be glad to hear it, and may even have wondered why we're taking so long on this topic. Well, I'm here to reassure you that there really is a point. In fact, there is, we think, a pretty cool punchline coming at the end that will justify all the work that we've done together on this. And we're pretty sure you'll agree at that stage that it's all been worthwhile. But for now, we need to jump back in and examine one or two more essential issues that we need to get under our belts before then. Beginning with Marcus Brody's bold assertion last time that an army which carries the Ark before it is invincible.
Oh, well, we've got to get the Ark out of the wilderness and into the temple.
The Hebrews took the broken pieces and put them in the Ark. When they settled in Canaan, they put the Ark in a place called the Temple of Solomon.
In Jerusalem.
Where it stayed for many years, until all of a sudden, whoosh, is gone.
Where?
Well, nobody knows where or when.
However, an Egyptian pharaoh...
Shishak.
Yes, invaded the city of Jerusalem around about 980 BC, and he may have taken the Ark back to the city of Tanis and hidden it in a secret chamber called the Well of Souls.
Secret chamber.
However, about a year after the pharaoh had returned to Egypt, the city of Tanis was consumed by the desert in a sandstorm which lasted a whole year, wiped clean by the wrath of God.
Okay. Well, this brief little bit of dialogue contains the whole history of Israel from the Exodus to the establishment of the Davidic monarchy, roughly 500 years of time. So we get over that pretty quickly. Yeah. We won't try to tell the whole story here, but we do need to pause over a couple of the high points. Earlier, we heard Marcus say, an army which carries the Ark before it is invincible. Well, this wasn't quite true, even for the Israelites. According to the Bible, 40 years were spent in the wilderness, during which the carrying of the Ark, the symbol of their covenant with God, usually did bring victory. On another occasion, however, as though to prove the rule, the Israelites themselves were defeated. You may remember that after they showed their lack of faith by rejecting the good report of the spies Joshua and Caleb, the people did a huge pendulum swing in the opposite direction, and they vowed to charge in right away and, quote, take the place which the Lord has promised. This is from Numbers 14. Well, what the Lord actually promised at this point was that after rejecting the good report, they'd have to wander for 40 years before going in. So this is when they said, oh, okay, we'll take it. Yeah. So Moses warned them that God was not in this plan, and he didn't allow them to take the Ark with them. In fact, he told them, you shall fall by the sword because you have turned back from following the Lord, and the Lord will not be with you. And they went in anyway, and the King James Version says, the Amalekites came down and smote and discomfited them. Yeah. So, yes.
They were summarily dealt with.
Right. Now, later, when it came time for Moses to leave the earthly scene, and he passed his mantle down to Joshua, you may remember that the Israelites crossed the Jordan and they came up against the heavily fortified city of Jericho. And with the help of the Ark this time, they carried it in a procession, if you'll remember, around the city for 7 days. And of course, the walls came tumbling down.
Yeah.
And this was just the first in a long series of victories, and the Ark was carried during all of them. But it's important to note that defeat was possible even with the Ark. In fact, there's a story in 1 Samuel that really might almost have been included in the Bible for the explicit purpose of refuting this idea. The notion, that is, that the Ark is just some kind of machine or weapon.
A talisman
that might be wielded to good effect by just anybody who happens to have it under their control. When the Israelites settled in the Promised Land, they erected a more permanent sanctuary for the Ark at a place called Shiloh. One of the priests chosen to be its guardian this time was Eli. Now, Eli himself was a good man, but he had 2 worthless sons named Hophni and Phinehas. 1 Samuel 2:12 says that, quote, they had not regard for the Lord. Well, even so, they did offer the Mosaic sacrifices in the presence of the Ark, but they did it badly. They kept the best portions of the meat for themselves, and they also had sexual relations with the women who maintained the sanctuary. So when the Israelites began to have trouble with the Philistines, it was probably these two who suggested taking the ark out of its sanctuary for use in battle, just like in the days of Moses and Joshua. But yes, okay, the ark had been powerful in the days of Joshua, but it was always God who granted the victories. Hophni and Phinehas just want to use it as a kind of a good luck charm here. They were looking to the ark to save them and not the Lord. Instead of repenting and seeking God, they turned to methods that God didn't approve, and they only cared if it worked, but it didn't. The Philistines defeated the Israelites, even with the ark, and there was a great slaughter, in fact, in which both Hophni and Phinehas were killed. And not just this, the ark was taken away from them and carried off by the Philistines. Anyway, this is why the idea that even an enemy of Israel, such as the Nazis, would be invincible with the aid of the ark doesn't really wash.
Yeah, I mean...
It may be that Marcus's line here is just a relic from the earlier electrical arc concept that we talked about last week. But hey, since we've seen that the Nazis really did believe in the electrical arc idea, so it's not incredible that they might still seek the ark anyway, believing that it was a death ray machine. So...
Yep, it's that's where we're at.
Well, if so, they should have read the Bible more closely, because the ark did the Philistines no good at all. First, it destroyed an idol to their god Dagon. Then it caused plagues similar to the ones that came on the Egyptians during the Exodus, plague of boils and an infestation of rats. So finally, they loaded the ark into an ox-drawn wagon, and they whipped the oxen off in the general direction of Israel. So,
okay, yeah, they didn't care to keep the ark in their homeland,
right?
Obviously.
Another significant incident happened when the ark reached Israel again. We read about it in 1 Samuel chapter 6. Now the people of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and when they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark, they rejoiced to see it. So most of the people did right by the ark, most of them. A few of them, however, ignoring all the reverence that had been shown to the ark during the Exodus, which was ancient history even to them, having taken place about 300 years earlier, these few allowed curiosity to get the better of them. And of course, you know what curiosity did to the cat. In verse 19, and he slew some of the men of Beth Shemesh, because they looked into the ark of the Lord. He slew 70 men of them. So they looked at the ark. They didn't shut their eyes when it was opened. Remind you of anything? One more important fact about the ark is illustrated in 2 Samuel chapter 6. King David, having reunited all the 12 tribes for the first time since the days of the patriarchs, brings the ark from Shiloh to his new capital at Jerusalem. Here's that scene as it was depicted in another of those great 50s Bible epics, David and Bathsheba, starring Gregory Peck.
Look, Bathsheba. The Ark of the Covenant. The shrine that has traveled with our people through all their wanderings. I'm bringing it here to its proper home. Get in, Abishai. I'll go down to meet Nathan. You'll take Bathsheba to her house.
It's worth remembering that when Moses and Joshua got the original directions for making the ark, the Lord told them, "You shall make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry the ark by them."
Sire. Nathan?
The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it.
God's design is a strange one, Nathan. Consider how this box of wood has outlived the flesh that made it, and preserved it and venerated it. A pity that it is mute and blind and cannot tell us of our ancient dead. Of Moses on the mountaintop, of Miriam and Aaron, of Joshua at the walls of Jericho.
Musa! Do not tempt the thunderbolts of the Lord. His dwelling is not to be profaned by unconsecrated hands. To touch it is to die.
As you say, Nathan.
The Ark of the Covenant, it falls!
And in Numbers 4, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "The sons of Kohath shall come to carry all the furnishings of the tabernacle, but they must not touch the holy things, lest they die.
He is dead.
They shall not go in to look upon the holy things, even for a moment, lest they die."
Let all take heed and bear witness to what they have seen, that the people may know the will of God. The time is not right for the entrance into the city. Unhitch the oxen. Let a tabernacle be erected on this spot. Let the ark remain here outside the walls until God has signified the appeasement of his wrath.
But what about Renee Belloc at the climax of Raiders? Don't we see him touch the ark without dying? Not really. It just takes a few moments longer in his case.
Marion, don't look at it. Shut your eyes, Marion. Don't look at it, no matter what happens.
Indy's warning not to look at the Ark is proof that he's familiar with the various biblical texts we've cited, as any good archaeologist researching the antiquities of the Near East certainly would be, whether believer or skeptic. Bottom line, Utz Uterman, the Chariots of the Gods screenwriter, was not wrong when he wrote that, quote, Moses warned that no one should come near the ark. It represented a mortal danger, end quote. Of course, Uterman still had the electrical condenser idea in mind. Did Indy and Belloc have the same idea? First, let's consider Belloc's motivations in the scene we just watched.
Belloc shows that he knows the Bible too, when he recreates the Ark ritual. This is especially clear in this deleted scene from Raiders, where Belloc puts on the vestments of an ancient Hebrew high priest, as described in Exodus chapter 28, where God's specifications for them are laid out in great detail. We also watch as Belloc recites some Aramaic prayers that may have been used by the high priests. Prayers that are still recited in synagogues today at the opening of the Ark Torah. The Ark Torah is the golden tabernacle that holds the scripture scrolls that are used in every Sabbath service.
Monsieur?
When Dietrich asks if this Jewish ritual is really necessary, Belloc gives an evasive answer.
Are you sure it's necessary?
Let me ask you this. Would you be more comfortable opening the Ark in Berlin for your Führer? Finding out only then if the sacred pieces of the Covenant are inside? Knowing only then whether you have accomplished your mission and obtained the one true Ark?
But notice that he doesn't really answer the question of why a religious ritual is needed, or needed in Belloc's eyes anyway. Why would you need priestly vestments and Hebrew rituals to open an ancient death ray machine, such as the Nazis are hoping for? What does Belloc think might happen if the ritual isn't performed?
Recall that Belloc, by his own admission, is a fallen away Christian, and claims to know that Indy is one as well.
Archaeology is our religion, yet we have both fallen from the pure faith.
Probably a French Catholic in his own case, possibly an Anglican or Episcopalian in Indy's, based on what we see of his upbringing in the Last Crusade. Is it possible that he thinks the Ark may be merely an electrical weapon, but secretly wonders, perhaps even hopes, that it might be something more?
I thought he was waiting to take possession.
All in good time. When I'm finished with it. Jones, do you realize what the Ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God. And it's within my reach.
Maybe Indy too thinks the Ark may be electrical or a loudspeaker for receiving messages from space, but secretly hopes it might be something more.
Notice that Indy smiles wryly when he hears Tote begin to laugh at the apparently fake Ark, as if to say, just as I thought. But then seems to show a different set of emotions when the manifestations begin to reveal themselves. He even seems to move his lips, as if mentally reciting some of the ancient verses he remembers.
Marion, don't look at it. Shut your eyes, Marion. Don't look at it, no matter what happens.
Well, all of this, it seems to me, shows that we're getting very close now to our final goal. An answer, that is, to the question we began with in our very first episode on this topic. Why won't Indy convert?
We hope you'll stay tuned for our big finale next time, this one titled, Why Indy Didn't Convert. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up, and we hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel as well. And of course, leave a comment down below.
Oh, and we're also including a link in the comment section to episode 5 of the old podcast version of Popcorn, where you can learn much more about Shishak, the True Life Well of Souls, how the Ark got lost, and, best of all, whether or not the Ark actually was a radio for speaking to God. See you soon.